Let's say we have an upcoming quiz with 6 questions on it, and we need to obtain 4 out of 6 to pass this quiz. The question I might ask is, what's the probability that we're going to be able to pass by guessing? The nice thing with probability is that with repeated samples, you actually get a close estimation to what the true probability of an event is. I'm going to run a little code here to illustrate what I mean with repeated sampling. I'm going to select a random number between 0 and 1. If I get something that's greater than a half, I'm going to say I've got a heads, otherwise I've got a tails. And so I can run this simulation out and count the amount of times that I get 5 out of 10 heads, where that should be the most probable outcome, but it's not always going to happen. We should be able to see that there are other outcomes that can occur, but they're just not as likely. So it asks a lingering question: how do you actually calculate their probabilities? Going back to the quiz example, I'm going to set up another code, drawing a random number between 0 and 1, but if I get a number that's less than 0.25, I'm correct, otherwise I'm incorrect. And the 0.25 comes from the fact that there's a 25% chance to guess correctly. I can just loop through a whole bunch of these trials and put their results stacked into a histogram to get a feel for what the distribution of these results is going to look like. You see, this is the nice thing with probability. If you set up a little code, you can get a loop, which will give you a whole bunch of repeated samples. And a whole bunch of these repeated examples stacked into a histogram will give you a nice feel for what the distribution of probabilities are going to look like. Say I wanted to run more than just 75 samples, what I need to do is set up my histogram where the y-axis is going to tell me the relative frequency of each event. And what you'll notice here is that if you run out thousands and thousands of these samples, eventually their relative frequencies just don't even bother changing anymore. They kind of stabilize out to what the true probability is. And what this histogram will tell us is the probability of the likelihood of each outcome. Looking at the binomial probability formula, we get this weird looking expression where n is the number of trials, r is the number of successful outcomes, p is the probability of success, and q is the probability of failure. I just want to hone in on this n choose r. Back to our quiz example, if we just consider all of the possible outcomes or all of the different combinations of selected results, and I just focus on selecting 1 out of 6 correct. Clearly, I can see that there are 6 different combinations of selecting 1 out of 6. So this reads as 6 choose 1. We can visualize this for some of the other n choose r combinations and watch them play out. This n choose r section of the formula just tells us how many combinations there are. So if I look into this example, I know the probability that I'm going to pass is going to be equal to the probability of getting 4 out of 6 correct, 5 out of 6 correct, or 6 out of 6 correct. I'm just going to calculate the individual probability of getting each of these correct. Let's say getting 4 out of 6 correct. If I put this into my formula, I get 6 options. I need to choose 4 of them. Multiplied by the probability of success is 0.25 to the power of 4, times by the probability of failure, which is 0.75 to the power of 2. If I just write out one of these possible events, that is getting 4 correct and 2 incorrect, what I've got here is I need to get this, and then this, and then this, and then this. So really what I'm saying here is the probability of that is 0.25 times 0.25 times 0.25 times 0.25, which is where this 0.25 to the power of 4 comes from. And then I also, in order to calculate the probability of this event, I've got 0.75 times 0.75, which is where I've got 2 of these 0.75s coming into play. And this is just for one event, and looking at all the possible outcomes, there are 15 of these. So I need to multiply these probabilities by 15. And this is where the 6 choose 4 comes into play, because that tells me I've got 15 possible outcomes times by the probability of getting them correct and the probability of getting them incorrect, respectively. If I put this into my calculator, what I get is 0.032958 blah 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 blah, or I could just say I've got 0.033. I'm going to go ahead and calculate these quickly for getting 5 out of 6 correct and 6 out of 6 correct. And if I put their percentages in brackets here, this is going to give me 3.3% to get 4 out of 6 correct. This is going to give me 0.4% to get me 5 out of 6 correct. And this is going to give me, if I multiply this by 100, I get 0.024% chance. So it's a really, really, really small chance of getting it, of getting 6 out of 6 just by guessing. And so I guess the probability to pass would be equal to 0.033 plus 0.004 plus 0.00024, okay, which gives me a roughly about a 3.72% chance to pass if I'm just guessing, which is really, really low. Going back to the original sampling histogram with their relative frequencies, we can see here that the probability of 4, 5, and 6 can be put onto a histogram. And the probabilities of 1, 2, 3, and 4 are also placed onto the histogram, where the sum of the bars is equal to 100%. The display of the histogram will shuffle with whatever the probability of the particular event is. We can see that if I add a slider and change the success rate, the histogram displays a distribution that kind of stacks around what the probability of success is. But really, the big takeaway point with binomial distributions is that you can calculate the binomial probability by using the formula, and you put it into a binomial distribution, which is a histogram that displays all of the probabilities of each individual event.